Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at something pretty unusual today. Excerpts from a book that's really blurring the lines, like part memoir, part fiction.
Part time travel, almost.
Right. And this really intense spiritual quest, all centered on this guy recalling his strange Catholic boyhood, 1940s New York.
And our mission here, that the real deep dive isn't just about following Joey's story, which is, well, bizarre. It's about focusing on the frame, how the story's told, who's telling it.
Because that's where the big reveal is.
Exactly, that's the aha moment.
But
it's kind of structural, a bit of a trick played on us right at the end.
Okay, so let's set up the main character. Joey El Bueno. He's 82, used to be a Hollywood screenwriter, apparently successful. And he's typing this memoir from Bellevue Hospital in 2010.
Yeah, and right away, even before the story starts, you get these philosophical quotes. Jung talking about finding the infinite to avoid futilities.
And Dostoevsky. Hell is the inability to love. Heavy stuff to open with.
It really is. And you immediately get this clash. He's sitting there in Bellevue, December 2010, looking out at the death-dark suicide waters of the East River.
Grim.
Very grim. And he's trying to write about, the infinite and love, that contrast between his surroundings and his subject. That's the first frame we see.
And his immediate reality there in Bellevue is just odd. Which kind of primes us for the weirdness in the flashbacks, I guess.
Totally. Like Nurse Bloor.
Ah, yes, Nurse Bloor, described as pudgy, short, wearing stiletto heels. Which seems impractical.
Wildly impractical for a nurse.
Yeah.
And the Christmas gift she gives him.
Oh, the tree. The little artificial tree covered in Band-Aids. Different color Band-Aids.
It's just the perfect mix of, sterile absurdity and sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And this present-day strangeness is immediately put right next to this really nostalgic flashback, 1941, St. Stephen's, 7th grade.
Yeah, the writing there paints this super vivid picture. L Train's, nickel movies, Buck Jones westerns. That whole romanticized New York past.
It feels classic, but then Nurse Bloor yanks us right back to 2010.
With her movie pitch, which also confirms Joey is writing a memoir.
Oh, the pitch. It's something else. Adolf Hitler's brain, on ice, in the Arctic, kept by Nazi scientists.
Wait, they want to transplant it into a presidential candidate.
Yep. And it's foiled by a telepathic alien CIA agent, who she wants played by Tom Hanks.
A Tom Hanks telepathic alien.
Oh.
Okay. I think I'd watch that, actually.
Yeah.
But why? Why put that detail in there? The Band-Aid tree, the Hitler brain movie, in a book about grace and faith.
Well, I think it absolutely serves a purpose. It makes the present-day frame feel fundamentally unreliable, doesn't it? Deeply weird. So when we get to the strange stuff in the past...
We're already prepared to accept it.
Kind of. If the adult world has Hitler's frozen brain floating around as a plot point, maybe the childhood world can have miracles. It also makes us question Nurse Bloor's judgment from the get-go, long before the final twist.
Okay, let's go back to 41, to Jane Bent, the girl who shakes things up for Joey.
Right. 8th grade transfer, reddish pigtails, jade green eyes, and she approaches Joey specifically because he's the mask.
Which refers to this thing he did back in 5th grade.
Yeah, he protested a teacher he thought was tyrannical by just sitting completely still in class wearing an Elephant Man mask.
Wow.
So Jane sees him as someone who, pushes back.
And her approach is just as weird as everything else.
Oh, yeah. She says she needs him for the Christmas quest, and then drops this warning about Rosemary Pagliarillo's smart bombs programmed only for him.
Which is terrifying until
she immediately says, nah, that was baloney. Just a test of trust.
Test of trust. That phrase seems really important.
I think it's central. It's not just about loyalty, is it? It feels like it's testing his willingness to believe the unbelievable. If he can swallow the smart bomb story, maybe he can handle the divine stuff later. She's testing his capacity for belief against logic.
And their date defies logic, too.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Seeing Gungo Din 3 times, Jane crying at the same heroic death scene every single time.
In the restaurant, they're 13, right?
Right.
Drinking Tokay wine.
Exactly. The details are just slightly off. The wine, watching the movie over and over, it signals this isn't your typical puppy love. And then while she's massively crocked, apparently.
She gives him that line.
It's the bees that count, Joey. It's the bees. Slurred, maybe, but sounds pretty prophetic.
And then things shift again. She becomes more than just quirky. She's a spiritual guide.
Yeah, out on the East River walkway, she lays out this whole vision, the world as a battleground, demonic dominions and powers.
That sounds very biblical.
It is. Straight out of, like, Pauline theology, spiritual warfare. She's not just talking schoolyard bullies. She tells Joey he needs armor.
Which is grace.
Right. Access through prayer. And she teaches him, now I lay me down to sleep, the basic child's prayer, but framed as, essential protection.
And she's not just talk. When those older boys hassle them,
She reacts fast when tries to grab her, and she whipped around sideways and kicked him in the jewels and yells, I have power. I am the power. It's this mix of spiritual conviction and very direct physical action, not your typical image of saintly guidance.
but then, just as suddenly as she appeared,
She's gone, vanishes, and Joey can't find anyone who remembers her.
this is where the reality really starts to fray.
Yeah.
The other 8th graders, never heard of her. The school assistant, Ms. Doyle, checks the records. There's no Jane Bent at this school.
No paper trail. She doesn't seem to exist in the official record.
But then you get conflicting stories.
Exactly. Like from his friend Beloqui. He tells a story from Eddie Arrigo, who apparently saw Jane levitate 6 feet up over the candy counter at the Superior Cinema.
Because they were out of Peter Paul Mounds.
That's the story, and Joey checks it out. The usher did see something, but the usher is Eddie Arrigo.
And Eddie Arrigo is known for exaggerating.
Big time. He was the one convinced the Japanese would attack Pearl Harbor way back in March or April 41. So the source gives you this miracle story, but then immediately tells you your witness is, well, unreliable. It keeps you guessing.
And Joey's own sense of reality starts slipping too. The déjà everything, the time jumps.
Yeah, skipping months at a time. But the key thing is when these jumps happen, they seem to coincide with these moments of moral choice.
Like divine intervention almost, guiding him.
Sort of. He jumps forward and realizes he just did something good, like returning that bag of money he got by mistake from the grocery store. That's a hard choice for a poor kid.
Or the fight with Paulie Farragher. He stops himself right before landing a really bad punch.
And asks himself, wait a minute, what would Kurt Vonnegut do?
Vonnegut, in the middle of all this Catholic mysticism.
Isn't that brilliant? It throws in this secular humanist angle. Kindness, simple human decency. The time jumps aren't just about avoiding sin in a religious sense. They seem to be pushing him towards active kindness, blending spiritual duty with, like, a Vonnegut-style ethic.
And Jane keeps sending those postcards.
Cryptic, but always reminding him, keep going to confession and communion. Stick to the basics.
So it all builds to this climax, at Coney Island of all places.
Right. He's stuck with Vera Virago, this girl he finds really gloomy. He ditches her, feels bad about it.
And then he meets another version of Jane.
Seems like it. A little redheaded girl, maybe 5 years old. In the spook house. And she knows things. Reads minds, but only for my friends.
And she proves it's her.
Yeah, she recites this poem Joey wrote back in 3rd grade. Confirms that line about his father loving him, and she mentions a movie, The Ghost in Mrs. Muir.
Which hadn't been made yet in the 40s.
Exactly. She explicitly says, future, past, what's the diff? She's outside of time.
And this little girl delivers the core message.
Pretty much the thesis of the whole book. She talks about soul formation, the difference between fleeting happiness like ice cream and real lasting happiness, which comes from giving.
And she brings back Vonnegut again.
Quotes him directly. God damn it, you've got to be kind. It's a command.
And Joey gets it this time. He acts.
Yes, he decides to go back and take care of Vera. And he buys the cotton candy for the little girl himself. I'm buying a small act of generosity.
And when he looks back,
She's gone. Lesson learned, messenger vanished.
which brings us right back to 2010, Bellevue, Christmas morning.
And the final piece falls into place. This nurse's aide, Eileen, is sitting by his bed.
But Nurse Bloor can't see her.
Right. Invisible to Bloor. And Eileen reveals who she is. Joey's mother. The one who died giving birth to him.
Wow. So this is it, the resolution.
She explains the whole thing. Because she died early, she couldn't give him spiritual guidance. So she was given this virtual reality chance.
The Jane experiences, that was the test, to see what moral choices he'd make.
Exactly. And now she's come to take him home, fulfilling that prayer Jane taught him.
And he's actually typing the memoir as this happens, as he dies.
Yeah. The very last sentence is cut off mid-word. It ends with "the."
Just the...
A very deliberate, kind of classic, ambiguous ending, fade to black.
Except the book doesn't end there.
There's one more bit.
Yes. The meta twist. A special tribute.
Written by Nurse Rose Bloor.
The Band-Aid Tree Lady herself. The one with the Hitler brain screenplay idea. That's the one. And she claims she was the uncredited co-author and editor of Joey's memoir.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. She says Joey's original description of her, the nurse character, was cloyingly sweet. He wrote her with virtually heroine worship.
Wait, so Joey, the dying memoirist, saw her as kind,
Yeah,
gentle.
apparently. And the hostile, eccentric, stiletto-wearing Nurse Bloor we read about in the 2010 sections.
Was made up
Yeah.
by her.
Yes. She admits she rewrote her own character, virtually fictionalizing it, making herself seem eccentric, even psychopathically hostile and threatening.
Yeah.
Why? To add color and get this credibility to the book.
That is astounding. So the frame story, the present-day Bellevue scenes with the crazy nurse that was deliberately fabricated by the editor to make the miraculous childhood story seem more believable?
Seems like it. We've got two massive twists layered here.
Okay, let's break that down. Twist 1, divine intervention. Joey's childhood was a kind of VR test run by his dead mother.
Twist 2, literary intervention. The present-day frame story depicting that memoir's creation was itself partly fictionalized by the editor to make the first twist more palatable to us readers.
So if the editor, who represents the real world in the narrative frame, admits she made stuff up in the present to boost credibility, what did that do to the claim about the past being a divinely guided VR experience?
It throws everything into question, doesn't it? The editor's basically saying truth needs fiction to be believed.
It's a fascinating paradox. The author, Joey, aims for a classic ending with that cutoff word the. The editor, Bloor, aims for credibility by adding fabricated conflict.
So we have this story championing kindness, trust, spiritual reality. But the frame around it, the special tribute, reveals deliberate manipulation for effect.
Which leaves you, the listener, right in the middle of it. If the goal was to share a moral lesson about kindness and soul formation, does it matter if the story delivering it is factually true? Or does it only matter if the writer, or maybe even the manipulating editor, believed the lesson itself was true?
Does the truth of the lesson depend on the literal truth of the tale? You're going to deep dive into this really complex structure. Now, what journey, what reality do you choose to believe?